And then all of a sudden, Lincoln does a medical review and they just say, go back to work.
Right.
But I just always find it astonishing that without even seeing the claimant, not even having a doctor look at the claimant, Lincoln's able to make the determination to say, you're better.
Right. Well, I think they make the determination before they even review the records. Like in their minds, I think they do an assessment and say that we're going to pay this guy for a year. We're going to do a review. We'll probably cut him off. And now that we got him back on claim, he's very happy. But they're going to do another review when the definition of disability changes to can he do any gainful occupation, which will come up in another year. Actually.
Right.
And then they'll probably try and cut him off at that point again, and we'll probably need to fight for him again.
Hi, I'm Greg Dell here with attorney Rachel Alters, and we're going to discuss one of Rachel's recently resolved cases. And Rachel, we like to talk about these cases so that people can get an understanding of how we help claimants and also learn some things about what you were able to do for your clients so that if they're in a position where they're having difficulty with their company, they can get their benefits reinstated or approved. So tell us about this case that was with Lincoln Financial. And I know this was a cardiac case, and it's a really great victory because the fact pattern that you're about to share is something that we've handled probably hundreds of times specifically with this fact pattern. There's lots of people out there who are disabled because they have a heart attack or cardiac event or have cardiac issues, and then the disability companies expect them to go back to work. So let's hear the facts of your case.
Okay. So my client, he works for an company. He does IT security infrastructure. So he's responsible for security for the company. His job is mainly sedentary at a computer all day long. He had a heart attack, a major heart attack, and ended up having open heart surgery, which, was very hard on his body. He also has other medical issues that are complicating. On top of it, he has diabetes, he had back issues. So on top of that, he had the heart attack and the open heart surgery. So Lincoln did pay his long-term disability. They approved him. They paid him for about a year. And then after a year, they did a peer review, which, they normally do these. They hire it's either their in-house people or they hire a doctor to review the medical records to say, okay, he's had a heart attack. He had his surgery. Now we believe he's fine. He's recovered. He can now go back to work full time. Well, that is not the case and was not the case with my client. However, they cut him off. So he was very upset about that and said, there's no way I can work. His doctors are saying, listen, even though you had the open heart surgery, he now is on a bunch of medications. They're causing side effects. He has a ton of fatigue. He can't focus and concentrate. He's not the same person he was before the heart attack, as well as he has diabetes, he has back issues. So he's got multiple medical conditions that just make him not capable of working in his occupation, let alone any gainful occupation. So we had to do a very, detailed appeal and get the help of his physicians to get him back on claim. We were able to do that, thankfully.
And the basis for Lincoln denying him was based upon just a file review that they did?
That was it. They never sent him for an IME. They never sent him for a functional capacity evaluation, nothing. They just did a record review, and they said, our doctors disagree with your doctors. We think you're fine. We've given you plenty of time to recover from your open heart surgery, and you should be fine to go back to work.
Was there anything specific that they picked out of the medical records that led Lincoln's hired doctors to think that your client could go back to work?
I think it was just, and this is not the doctor's fault, but oftentimes when, you're in such a severe condition, when somebody has a heart attack, that's a life-threatening condition. And obviously you're doing horribly. And even after open heart surgery, no one is doing well. So I think the doctor documented that he was improving, which he was.
Right.
He would come in for his visits and the doctor would document he's doing better, he's feeling better, he has more energy, he's less fatigued, he's in less pain, all of it. So I think they just ran with that because, when the doctors document improvement, the insurance carriers run with that and take that as, oh, then he's, good enough to go back to work. Well, no, he's improved from being on death's door, but he's not improved enough to be able to sit at a desk 40 hours a week and be responsible for an entire company's security. So
in a lot of the cardiac cases that I've handled, a lot of the doctors say, look, you can live a normal life, but you need to avoid activities that are going to exacerbate your condition or create stress from the workplace. Is that something that came up in your case?
Yes, it came up a few times because my client what causes heart attacks usually in general is stress. It can be other physical factors, such as blocked arteries and other things, maybe you're
Right.
overweight.
Genetic issues.
Exactly. But stress is a big factor in causing heart attacks. And his cardiologist said you need to avoid stressful situations. And the work environment that he worked in previously was very stressful. And his doctor did not want him to return to work. Now, it wasn't the only reason he told him not to return, but it was one of the factors. And I know that, Lincoln and these other insurance carriers won't look at those factors so much and say, well, we're going to approve your benefits because we don't want you to be exposed to stress, which could eventually give you another heart attack. Because frankly, I don't think they care about that.
So your client was treating with a cardiologist. For the other conditions, was the client treating with other doctors as well?
Yeah. He had doctors treating him for his back issues. He also has severe diabetes. He was taking meds for all those things, which were, all of it, together were causing him issues. But the heart issue was the most prominent issue he has.
So when we have claimants that we're representing, and often they have multiple medical issues that are affecting them, and maybe in some situations it's not each one individually would disable them, but there's this medical term called the comorbidity of the conditions,
right?
Which means when you take the totality of all of your medical conditions and you put them all together, you have to consider them as a whole. And unfortunately, companies like Lincoln often will just look at one condition and be like, well, you might have got better from that, and we don't put much weight into the other conditions, and they'll look at them each individually. But they don't say if all three of these are collectively affecting your body, then you're going to have issues.
Right.
And I think that's a big part of what we always put in and say, you can't look at these things in a vacuum. You have to look at every single medical condition together and take the total human picture.
Exactly. We also sent him for a functional capacity evaluation when he was feeling better. We put him through that because we thought due to his fatigue plus his back issues and other things, we would be able to have a result showing that he can't sit for long periods of time and all of that. And that did come out very supportive. And I think that was very helpful for us to be able to win the appeal as well.
And a lot of people watching this video are in a similar situation where they say, I had a cardiac event or I was on claim for whatever their medical condition was for at least a year. Now, when you say a year, that's really that they've been out of work for 18 months.
Right.
Because you have a 6-month elimination period and then the carrier pays you after that and then they paid for a year.
Correct.
And then all of a sudden Lincoln does a medical review and they just say, go back to work.
Right.
But I just always find it astonishing that without even seeing the claimant, not even having a doctor look at the claimant, Lincoln's able to make the determination to say you're better.
Right. Well, I think they make the determination before they even review the records. Like in their minds, I think they do an assessment and say, we're going to pay this guy for a year. We're going to do a review. We'll probably cut him off. And now that we got him back on claim, he's very happy. But they're going to do another review when the definition of disability changes to can he do any gainful occupation, which will come up in another year. Actually.
Right.
And then they'll probably try and cut him off at that point again, and we'll probably need to fight for him.
But he had a sedentary occupation
Correct.
to begin with in IT. So you've already kind of encountered, even though it was an own occupation definition of disability, Lincoln and most other disability companies look at it as basically the duties of the job, but more from just a high level general, meaning you have to be able to sit for 6 hours a day. And they don't really care about any other things that you have to do.
Right.
So basically, if this client could sit for 6 hours, then regardless of the fact that you said it was an IT professional, right?
Yeah.
So many different things between interacting with tons of other people at the company, having to be available instantly if computers go down, if there's a security breach or whatever it is, if it's the middle of the night, having to be available. Sitting for 6 to 8 hours a day or 6 hours a day is just a task that is equivalent to any job that requires you to be in an office.
Sure.
And basically has no requirements, no experience, no education, nothing taken into consideration. So moving forward, since this was already sedentary, why would he, if he can't do this sedentary job, why would he be able to do any other sedentary job? And I think that's what you already set up in the appeal to say he can't do any other sedentary job because this one was sedentary already.
Exactly.
So there's, yes, they will review it as they always do after 24 months if there's a change of definition, which most Lincoln policies do have, some don't, but yeah, you have to anticipate that. And what are you doing to anticipate that to continue to protect his benefits?
Well, I've already had the conversation with him about being very open in discussing discussing these things with his doctors. So his treating cardiologist, his primary doctor, the doctors he sees on a regular basis for his condition, and to make sure that they understand that, how they are documenting that they are recommending that he not do any type of job. So not just that he can't do his own job specifically, but that he can't go back to work on a part-time or full-time basis doing any job, and that they document in such a way in the records, because a lot of times doctors will specifically say in the records, oh, he can't do his job. He can't do his job as let's say he was a physician or whatever it may be. And then when the definition changes, the insurance carriers will rely on those records and say, well, the doctor's all along just been saying that he can't do his job. And they haven't been specific about he can't just do a sedentary job sitting at a desk 40 hours a week, whatever, and earning 60% of his pre-disability income. So I do harp on that with my clients and say, just be specific with your doctors that they have to document in this way.
Well, it sounds like you did a great job. You built up a lot of evidence in what can be challenging claims, but a very positive for people out there who are watching this video to know that if you had cardiac issues and other issues combined with that, and you do get denied, that you can get your benefits reinstated. And there's things that people can contact us to ask us about to what could they be doing to prevent a denial like this? Because we have a lot of subscribers on our channel, and they watch these videos to say, I hear these stories that are success stories, but they're success stories because people got denied and they don't want to get denied. So they take the tips from these videos to say, what can I be doing to prevent myself from being denied?
Right. And they can also call us, even if they're not denied. We can get on board and we can help them manage the claim to prevent. Now, it's not a sure thing, but we can help them prevent getting denied. And that's a service that we also offer our clients.
Great.
Yeah.
So if you're someone out there who has a Lincoln Financial disability claim and you need help with a denial, or you need to file a lawsuit, or you're on claim and you have questions, feel free to reach out to Rachel, myself, or any of our lawyers. We always provide a free initial phone consultation, and we're available to help you no matter where you live in the country.